I'm Simon Burton. I'm one of the founders of the Football Business Awards. The Football Business Awards was set up 7 years ago with the aim of celebrating and acknowledging commercial, financial and governance success within the business of football. So everything that's not on the pitch. Sure, that's 7 years ago, and three guys, as you'd expect, in a pub with a serviette, came up with the idea of some awards which celebrated football business. We had all got a background in either football or events, or specifically in awards, and we felt there was a real opportunity as football changed, as football became more financially supercharged, and the relationship between town and club and fan and club was changing. We wanted to create several awards that recognised when those things were being done in an effective and appropriate way. I'd say they're absolutely part of the calendar. We know that in an early Thursday in May, people from throughout the UK are going to come down. And one of the things I think is really interesting about the awards is best use of social media, or best use of technology, or best hospitality, kind of categories we have. For those teams from those clubs, the hospitality team or the digital team or the commercial team, competing with one another on the night to win that prize is in many ways as important for that team in terms of their recognition and their morale and their sense of what they're doing mattering as what happens on the pitch for the actual clubs when they're competing in the FA Cup. Well, actually, I think we sing about them. So the first thing to say is absolutely they're unsung, and it's like the story about the lady with the broom at NASA when the president walked in. She said, "What do you do?" He said, "What do you do?" She said, "I help launch rocket ships." This is the people in clubs who are the real breathing, beating heart of how it functions, are absolutely vital to everything that happens. And so we sing their praises because we think they're important, but we also sing their praises because what they do is frequently fantastic and bears scrutiny against the best things that are happening in non-sporting commercial environments. That said, one of the important parts of the awards is they sort of neatly divide into two. About half of the awards represent things, initiatives, projects, campaigns that the clubs themselves have done. And the other half are for businesses that serve football, whether that's professional services or technology or marketing and PR services. So how do those businesses with specialist skills really effectively match that skill set against the unique requirements of a football club? Sure, a couple from last year that really spoke to me. Sunderland won an award for their fan engagement, and what's so fascinating about it was they broadcast a game between two non-league sides on Facebook as part of the launch of their home kit. And I think that's powerful on a number of levels. One, being aware of how to unlock the power of Facebook. Two, supporting other clubs in the community at a meaningful level that didn't wear their brand. I think that's really, in fact did wear their brand, but that's really powerful for a club to recognise that its fans are living real lives in a real local community, and yet coupling that with social media, which gives you a huge global platform. And also the fact that when they won it, they loved it. That team were hugely endorsed in the quality of their work. And then at the other end of the scale, there's a business called Piglet's Pantry, who make unsurprisingly pies. And you'd argue, what could be more football-like than the pie? And the fact that this small business is able to use the Football Business Awards to showcase its work, to build up its reputation and grow its brand, speaks volumes about the fact that these areas aren't as closed as you think they are. This is not a closed market. People can create new challenger brands, and also that they can use the Football Business Awards to shout about them and forge new connections. We also award prizes for individuals, and probably the standout moment at the awards are the Global Ambassador, when we choose to give that award, and the Outstanding Contribution. So the Global Ambassador has been awarded to Sir Bobby Charlton, which was a real hairs on the back of your neck moment. Sir Trevor Brooking, Jimmy Armfield, and last year to John Molson. It was a fantastic moment. And we've given the outstanding contribution, I think, only twice to Peter Kenyon and Richard Scudamore. People whose vision and behaviour has really shaped the commercial reality of the game. We've chosen to partner with Supporters Direct because, well, the cliche is without the fans the clubs are nothing. But actually, our partnership with Supporters Direct is driven by I think more than that. Football clubs don't exist in a vacuum. So, at a macro level, the Premier League is one of the UK's greatest exports, and that's amazing and wonderful, and all of those of us who support football should think this is a good thing. But at another level, every club is not just an emotional heart of its community, but it's a commercial and economic heart. There are taxi firms and news agents and fast food restaurants and a myriad of businesses and people within a mile radius of that ground that are absolutely intrinsically tied to the success of that club, and the people who therefore engage on match day and who are intimately linked to that club are part of the economic vibrancy of that city. But particularly in regional, what one might describe as one club towns, that club is the beating heart. And if we are not able to effectively celebrate good governance and a positive, powerful, meaningful relationship with fans, then all of the commercial numbers mean nothing. It's important to recognise the power of that relationship, because as clubs change and adapt to the realities of a global business and always on TV and football as soap opera constantly, we need to remember that can be a challenge for clubs and it can be a challenge for supporters, but that relationship's important. So finding a mechanism within the Football Business Awards, which inevitably celebrates some big deals and some powerful brand and football names, to recognise that the emotional relationship between fans and supporters, and the club is important and requires give and take and understanding and diplomacy on both sides. We think we're a brilliant platform for that. Because football clubs aren't like other businesses. And that's not to say they're not businesses, but they're not like other businesses. And fans, I think, sometimes feel disconnected from the club, and that's wrong. But the club can actually sometimes feel disconnected from the fans. I think that's a two-way street. And therefore, if you've got organisations like Supporters Direct that are helping to bridge that gap and providing the mechanics and the tools and the advice and the counsel to make that dialogue more effective, then everybody benefits.